All right, thank you, Charmer. We're into our second series of the day, the last in this round of the lower bracket. The winner here goes on to play Cloud9 in the next round in another best of 3. So all you need is 2 wins to keep your tournament alive. Still, anybody who loses these matches from this point on today is out of the tournament. Choncc Chortle in on the blue side, Grilled Cheese over on the red to start us off.
Right, so the Lee Sin right away. I like this priority. So it's my understanding that Lee Sin is actually the best jungler in the entire game, but only if you're really good at it. And so that's why we haven't seen him all that often in the other games throughout the tournament. But it looks like CSJ does have that Lee Sin on lock. So Choncc Chortle do not want to give that champion over to a skilled player. Similarly, Katarina's gone.
You gotta have thumbs to buy out the Lee Sin. That's a big thing that we've learned. Katarina, yes, taken away from Mally. Oh, it's gonna be tough for you to play a Wild Rift. Are you like the claw, like you use your index finger?
Yeah.
Fingers? Yeah, I've seen players like you. Rakan also taking off the table here from Choncc Chortle. Something that I really like about Grilled Cheese, the champ pool of their support. We see a lot of enchanters so far in the champ pools of all the players in this event, but Stove YT is one of the only ones that is pulling out things like the Braum. Not biased at all, one of my favorite champions. So I'm excited to see what Stove YT could actually pull out here, because I think that we'll actually get to see a new look for a Dragon lane than we've seen from a lot of the other teams so far in this event.
Yeah, Stove does play quite a few of those tanks, which is very unlike a lot of the other players. And it's not that there aren't tanks in the game of Wild Rift. There's that Braum that you mentioned, Leona, Alistar, like all these champions are possible. Slightly less possible against Senna, I will say, but if anyone's going to do it, I think it will be Stove. And with the Rakan off the table, he likely will have to go into that bit of his champion pool.
Or they still could go for the Nami, we'll see. Nimble locking in the Ashe. Now, interestingly about Nimble, plays a lot of AP champions in that Dragon lane, known for the Ziggs, known for the Seraphine, but we talked about how important Ashe is on this patch, how strong it's been in this tournament, and we do get to see one.
And we also get to see that Riven. Again, you already mentioned that Steezy pulled this out yesterday. So did CSJ in the second game. So this is a flex pick for Grilled Cheese. This is an opportunity they can use to spread throughout their team and spread, sort of question marks throughout Choncc Chortle, who have gone for the classic Senna Nasus pairing. When they lock in this Senna, you have to expect that Nasus is coming. That one is likely to go over to Hestia again if history repeats itself.
But it's going to be a unique Dragon lane duo. We have not seen these champions against each other so far in this event. Senna Nasus versus Ashe Lulu. So already Dragon lane's getting a little spicy here to start off this best of 3. The Garen's paired with it to be that front line for Grilled Cheese. So it's another Riven in the jungle. Choncc Chortle going for the Corki and the J4 to round out their composition. And wouldn't you know, it's not Summoner Series regional finals without an Ahri in the game, apparently.
Yep. And this is the same Ahri Riven combination that we just saw played by Sentinels, and we had some question marks about it. We had some worries and misgivings about how these two champions interact with each other. CSJ playing this Riven isn't going to have a lot of access to the same crowd control and burst in the early game that something like the Ahri wants. And the Lee Sin off the board, the Olaf off the board, those options were dwindled for him, but still this is something that Grilled Cheese are going to have to work with. Now, what they do have for pick potential is Ashe. And this is the first time we've gotten to see this one today. I think Ashe is just so strong. She has so much damage, but mostly because of Enchanted Crystal Arrow. You can weave that through and hit your target pretty much spot on every time.
In the laning phase against the Senna Nasus, I'm not having actually played this one myself. I'm just going to assume it's going to go the Ashe Lulu favor. They have the range. The Ashe does pack quite a punch in this early game, but of course we will have to wait and see how the players actually play it out. Important to note, Hestia is actually the one on the Nasus, and it is Nori on the Senna. So they're giving the support player the Nasus and the AD carry that Senna picks. Sometimes they'll swap those around, but you need to learn a little bit more about Choncc Chortle.
Yeah, this is typically what they end up going for. Hestia is an enchanter player. This is what Hestia's main comfort is on, but typically when the Senna is available to them, this is what they decide to go for. They feel like it's a lot stronger and more consistent to give carry potential to the rest of the team. And you'll notice that Molly is holding the mantle of the marksman in this game. And usually this is the assassin player through and through for Choncc Chortle. Katarina was banned, and they've gone for this Senna Nasus composition, so he needs to provide more backline damage for Choncc Chortle as they have a really solid front line.
And a little extra AP as well. The Corki does do a lot of AP damage. Early gank, though, from Black Camel. Looks for it wrapping around that tri-bush. Doesn't find it, though. And because of that, could be a little behind now in the clear. Will actually hit level 3 still regardless and can get back towards this bottom Scuttle Crab. But look at who's joining him. We see Choncc Chortle getting in trouble here. Nicely done by Grilled Cheese, setting it up. They can't kill him, but there we go. Ignite will take down, and they're looking for even more right now, getting multiple flashes. Still damage over the wall. Nori in trouble. Does survive. But what a play there from Grilled Cheese. Big play, and also in the top lane even. We saw Renekton and Garen both use all their summoner spells as we have a slight pause in the game. So we didn't even get to see what happened in the Baron lane. Apparently they were duking it out too.
Yeah, we got to see that really clever play from Steezy there, though. You saw that he went into the Drake pit to go outside of vision, making it really difficult to dodge out on the charm. And these are the kind of plays that we get really excited about Steezy for, where he is making these really strong plays for his team, setting things up correctly. That's really the only way that you can do it on Ahri is landing a charm. So it's a little different from a Flash Tibbers team-wide stun that we'd otherwise see from Steezy, but it is the same sort of flavor of style. You have to get those plays started off early. This is something that Sentinels weren't able to do. I hate to keep bagging on them, but this is the most recent Ahri performance that we saw, where they didn't have the same crowd control and damage that you usually get from Ahri. If you go for the Ahri charms yourself, you get that self-made man, and you can get those started off right, and that's First Blood.
And that means that they can use that First Blood to try and snowball something forward from there. Again, just to remind everybody, we're in the lower bracket, so this is elimination mode here. High-pressure games, high-pressure situations, maybe situations that some of these players haven't been in before. I know we got a lot of veterans coming from other eSport titles, but for some of these, this is actually their first taste at competition here. But I have an update on the reason for the pause. There was some lag experienced by the players. So because of that happening here, Smacks, we'll let the players hopefully sort out whatever issues they're having on their end. Let's take some time to talk about what we expect from these compositions and how they want to play out these games, especially kind of now factoring in how this early game went and who got that first blood. Grilled Cheese, going through the roster in order again, it's the Garen, Riven, Ahri, Ashe, Lulu. When you look at this core five, what do you think the objective of this team is? And if we had to kind of paint a roadmap for the audience as to what they're going to plan to do in the first couple minutes of the game.
Yeah. I always like to look at how a team wants to get a fight started. So we can take a look at it right here. The way the Grilled Cheese composition fight begins is going to usually be from an Ahri charm or an Ashe arrow. And what that means is you've got one specific person crowd controlled. Pretty much anyone on the side of Choncc Chortle is going to be pretty easy to take down, I feel. They don't have a true, just full tank. The Nasus is going to be building mostly ability power with the build if he goes traditional. And Jarvan tends to, he gets a Guardian Angel, but past that, he's pretty easy to kill. So if you can land those skill shots, then I feel like that's how Grilled Cheese really want to maneuver through this game. Even the Garen tends to help out for that as well. You get the big Demacian Justice dunk with the sword. So single target damage and burst is going to be the name of the game, I feel, for Grilled Cheese.
And then maybe you could argue that like the Riven can mix in some of that AoE, especially when you have a Lulu behind you trying to wild growth you, prolong the CC chain here, be that big team fight engage. But I like that you're focused on single target CC. Immediately my mind goes pick compositions, try and get those picks before the objectives even start. But let's do the same, a little fun game here on the side of Choncc Chortle now. Their roster, of course, their composition, the Renekton, J4, Corki, Senna, Nasus. My mind immediately goes late game when I look at this kind of composition. Am I on the ball here?
I think so. I think you definitely have a lot of scaling on this team. I mean, two of your champions have infinite scaling with the Nasus stacks and the Senna stacks. Now, usually you don't care too much about the stacks for Nasus. Usually you don't even level that ability until later if you're going AP, but it exists. They're all the same, and the Senna one is much more reasonable. Now, when you have a composition like this, your front-to-back team fight is really what you're looking for. You have two marksmen, you have a beefy front line, and you have a wither bot as well to make sure the enemy marksman doesn't deal as much DPS. So if they can avoid that first initial burst and they can set up battle lines, then I feel like that's what this composition wants to do for Choncc Chortle, which might mean that their early game isn't as strong.
And they do also have a lot of tools, either flanking maneuvers, Renekton flanks, historic for being strong. The Corki can look for that package to just kind of disrupt fights, but they also have this J4 that will just say, all right, we're going. We're getting in there. Ari and Riven can try and get out of that pit if they're stuck in there, but Garen, Ashe, Lulu, they're kind of stuck in there if they don't have that flash available. So front to back focus here from the side of Choncc Chortle, and potentially more pick focus, but still some ability to fight over on the side of Grilled Cheese. We got about, I'm hearing we're getting close to loading back into the game here as the ping issues are being sorted out. So now, Smags, I get to bring you the next question. Who are you favoring? Also factoring in, the players and their play styles and what we know these teams for.
And that first play, I imagine, with the first blood.
That might make it a little easier.
Gotta throw that in. I feel like for Grilled Cheese, that's definitely going to help. If they can keep that momentum going, then the game is going to be really easy for them. We already saw it work in the first, 2 minutes of the game. So if they can just repeat that every 2 minutes, then they've got themselves a whole lot of kills stacked up and probably objectives after that. So
charms per minute. I'm calling it charms per minute on this Ari.
What is the average charm per minute stat, would you say?
You know what? It depends on the player. It really would. If we're looking here, Steezy, I maybe count 1 per minute. It's early game though. Typically, you'll peak your average charms per minute around like the 3-minute mark based on my calculations. So that's the bar to reach here. Let's see if they can actually hit that. But we are back in the game, everybody. The pause has been sorted out. Hopefully, there are no more ping issues for either of these teams going forward throughout the series. But to catch you up, in case you missed the beginning of the game, we're only 2 minutes in. The first blood was secured by Grilled Cheese in that Dragon lane.
And it is going to be a replay of this, I believe. Yeah, we've got Black Camel. He's set up for this push in the bottom lane. And this, it gives that wherewithal for Grilled Cheese to know exactly where Jarvan is going to be. So they can stack up in this Drake pit. They can get the stealth charm down. And even after the flash and flag and drag, the Ignite gets to burn him down alongside that Glitter Lance from Stove. We're very well placed on that skill shot.
I just questioned the decision making. I feel like maybe they thought, okay, we shove in the Dragon lane and I have my AD carry and support behind me so I can walk up. But you saw, or at least you should have saw, if Molly was communicating. Look, Ari and this Riven just left mid towards bottom lane, so you're going to be in a 3v4 even if you go for that. I think decision-making, something we can criticize a little bit from Choncc Chortle. Let's see how they clean that up here, but ESJ already going for the invade and the dive under turret. The Ashe arrow goes out. Stun lands here. STS in a lot of trouble and locked down. That's another kill to Grilled Cheese.
Solid stuff right there. This is that same power that I was talking about. If you have that level 5 on Ashe secured, then you have to be so worried about the Ashe arrow coming through. You get that level 5 spike. Nora and Hestia weren't quite there, so they couldn't even match it if they tried. And you already have your jungler down there in CSJ, so ton of power in this lane already for Grilled Cheese. The team fights might be difficult as the game scales, but if more picks keep coming through, then the gold lead will make that completely nullified.
And it's the fact that honestly, action's been in the Dragon lane. It's not the Dragon laners getting fed. It's instead the mid lane, the jungle. The Ari and the Riven are now the ones with those kills, and I kind of like that because those are the two that will get around the map the fastest, so they can actually move that gold around the map. Objective has spawned, and Grilled Cheese will actually start up this Dragon. Drake to start it off. It's just Stove Whitey here all alone as the Lulu. Like, all right, team, you better come because I'm taking some damage from this. And over the wall, Steezy
there it is with
the follow-up arrow. Beautiful pick.
Charms per minute's going up very, very fast here, Kangas. I'm really loving this stat as Black Camel is going to try to get into this pit on Jarvan. He is quite tanky, but he has to use the Cataclysm to get through. Excellent package from Molly, splitting up the fight, and now Luan has the follow-up. These health bars are so low, but not quite at 0 apart from the jungler. Grilled Cheese, they can't get anything more than the 1 pick, but they can spread back over to the Drake pit if they want to.
These ultimates from the Choncc Chortle are just too strong in these team fights. The Renekton ult, the Nasus ult, like you said, that package coming from Molly, which is essentially Corki's ult, even though it's not technically. Yeah, they're just too useful in these, corridor situations. And the Dragon does not go over to Grilled Cheese. It's still on the table. Choncc Chortle will start this up, and Grilled Cheese are approaching.
Yep, the engage is possible for Grilled Cheese. Their jungler is here for CSJ.
Asher's coming up.
Looking like it.
They're going for it into the pit. They already take down the J4. Luan's on the flank, but the Redemption keeping the people alive, keeping them healthy. Grilled Cheese, they still have the health bar.
CSJ's
so very low right now. Actually goes down to the Dragon. They get it. Nimble secures it. That was close. No! And Luan DJ Oh, it's just trying to get her back, get a reset here. And we'll now have to walk all the way to these turrets. I don't believe this is enough time. Actually, it might be. No execute comes through. Nimble does get the kill credit.
Bummer for Grilled Cheese. They get that one kill thanks to the dragon on there. Or no, for Choncc Chortle, excuse me. I don't know what I'm talking about. As we see the Nasus fall. Grilled Cheese, they get that Drake. This is probably the weakest Drake in the early game to go for, but any advantage is good for them alongside all of those kills, and they don't even have to worry about the Rift Trail being taken quite yet, as Choncc Chortle decided to go for the fight every single time instead of going for the passive approach and trading, going for the handshake. Choncc Chortle felt confident in these team fights. That is where they should be confident, though, Kangas, but the picks are just too solid.
But I also look at this comp, but we had highlighted it before. More of a scaling composition, so I kind of want them to go for the handshakes early on. Give the Dragon, take the Herald, and then let your team scale up. Let Nasus and Senna hit these stacks before you go for the fights, but nope, they're not going to take my advice. They're contesting at the Herald. Nasus and Ashe are both in that Dragon lane, so it will be a 4v4 fight here if anybody goes for it. CSJ jumping forward. Nice knock up onto 3 members. CZ follows up. Maybe Luan can do something here as the Renekton. Molly as well, throwing out the rockets, throwing out the damage, but CZ jumps forward. Spirit Rush. That's a polymorphed. Corki hits the plant, though, and will stay alive. The charm goes wide. 1-for-1 trade at the end of the day.
Rift Herald's still up, though. As Grilled Cheese. Oh, out on Steezy. He's going for something fancy right there. It doesn't quite kill Molly. The health bar is still ridiculously low. You can see that right there in the corner. Oh, my word.
I like the attempt. Little ambitious against a Corki that still had the barrier available. But in those moments, it's really hard to track those kinds of summoner spell cooldowns. Luan's also got to be careful here because Tekshi might just stat check you here as the Garen. With the Ashe Arrow, just makes it even easier. One more auto. Luan's still alive. Still survives it. The barriers are just too clutch for Choncc Chortle. I feel like there's got to be a bug. They're giving like 10 extra HP to Choncc Chortle right now.
CSJ's come back to the scene of the crime. The Rift Herald is taken by Choncc Chortle. They have to win out in this fight again. Molly does so much damage, doesn't have any more mobility to get over this wall to deal more, but Choncc Chortle don't need it. They push the Grilled Cheese members outside of the base, and they're doing what their comp wants to do. They're winning out on these team fights.
These Corki packages are a thing of beauty right now. They're working so well, but Corki does actually go down. Actually, very far forward, gets picked. Interesting how Nimble got that kill. Looks like heal was used, but no flash. I'd like to see a replay of what happened to Molly at the end of that play, because it was going pretty much all in the favor of Choncc Chortle. But now Molly going down, it kind of equalizes the play. It's still very even in the gold count.
Yeah, I feel like Nimble going for this build is perhaps catching Molly off guard with S1, because Ashe doesn't typically do this much damage with her auto attacks. Usually you end up seeing the sort of cooldown focused build and mana focused build with the Manamune, and then oftentimes you end up with the Serelda's Grudge and the Black Cleaver, that sort of build to just get more ultimates off all the time. But this is a much more damage oriented and DPS oriented build instead for Nimble. So perhaps that's what happened here.
Charm lands, arrow misses, but still a kill secured. Tekshi under that turret still. The Garen stat checking. Cataclysm locks him down. That's like what, 6, 7, 8 turret shots, and he's still alive. Wow, that is a tanky Garen, everybody. Yeah,
he is big. Alongside the wild growth helping him out, that health bar is really difficult to chunk through, and you have to do it all in one go, or else his health regen is coming through also. Choncc Chortle, they dodged the
Steezy misses the charm, and there's a crocodile in that brush. Steezy gets picked off. Like Campbell could be in trouble, does go down. Lulu with the kill credit here, but Luan's onto the back line. Pretty much full health Renekton with the double kill, chasing down these low health bars of Grilled Cheese. Can't find any more, but the Herald's still pushing. Massive play from Choncc Chortle, because they dropped this before the Dragon fight even started.
I really like the plays from Choncc Chortle. They're grouping up, and now you can see the fireworks start to fly. Everything is coming together, all the chemistry that they've built up all throughout. Hestia, though, on her lonesome, I don't think she makes it.
Oh, the flash going the wrong direction. We've all been there. Don't pretend like it hasn't happened to you, Twitch chat, but unfortunate in this moment that happens to Hestia. But the Dragon is secured by the team, so Choncc Chortle will still get an objective to their name.
Losing out on slightly a bit more than they had hoped for Choncc Chortle. They get this mid turret taken out as well. This is sort of the aftermath of Hestia dying and overextending to get the Rift Herald in trade. She could have stayed alive and cleared out the minion wave instead, but Grilled Cheese capitalized on that one very well.
I think Techsy can actually just stat check this. Like, use the first ability, walking forward and auto with the ultimate. That's barrier down, but actually it's being traded back. Ooh, yeah, you can't take those turret shots without Lulu behind you.
All right, so Molly barrier keeps him alive. I really like the usage of that one while he's still healthier because it gives you the less execute damage.
CZ has to flash. This is 4 members. Choncc Chortle looking for the play, but now the re-engage. CSJ going in. Stove with the follow-up wild growth, but that's a lot of damage. Traded right back onto Riven. Luan goes in, trying to heal up, taking some damage. Ignite ticking down. One more tick. Not enough. These health bars. I'm telling you, man, Choncc Chortle had something else for breakfast this morning, but CSJ wants more. Flashing forward, looking for Hestia, but the charm hits Black Camel. Still alive! The final auto from Nimble will get that kill. Man, these fights are so close.
Yeah, they really are. The slimmest of margins, keeping the members dead or alive as Choncc Chortle. They do eventually lose out on one, so Grilled Cheese can't be completely upset about that one. They get one pick. Potentially this bot lane turret, too, is... I don't think anyone can really match Techsy. He didn't kill Molly before, but he did push him outside of the lane, and Techsy has a lot of health regeneration. Still not confident enough to take on Luan, as this is a very scary Renekton.
Actually, we'll spot in the brush. And yeah, you see the difference of damage between a Garen first ability and a Renekton auto attack right there. Yeah. But actually feeling confident here. There is an Ash arrow from Nimble that they could try and thread to follow up on Techsy. That's a lot of damage. Nimble has such a great cooldown reduction. You were talking about the build with the Mana Mune, but I mean, honestly, the Essence Reaver is still helping out in that department regardless. I think that Nimble has been throwing out ultimates pretty much on cooldown.
At the same time, Grilled Cheese are sort of a one-trick pony when it comes to how these team fights play out. You have that initial pick potential, but then we've already seen it 2 times where CSJ jumps in with the Broken Wings, gets a big knock-up, and then the Lulu ultimate comes in as well, and it looks very flashy. It looks like, oh, the team fight's completely won. They don't really have actually that much damage after that, which is a slight problem that they're going to have to face when it comes to the next few fights. Choncc Chortle,
it looks cool.
Very bulky. It does look very cool.
It looks really cool when they go in. CSJ, like, I got the follow-up. Oh, arrow lands. Some it's Techsy going forward, but here he doesn't look quite as cool when he just raises his sword, runs at you, and says, no, I'm going to call that one off. So, Grilled Cheese cannot find the play that they were hoping for. And look at in the Dragon Lane. Luan still uncontested in these sideways 4-1-1. That's a scary crocodile. And it's Steezy actually walking up here with the minion wave. Luan needs to be careful, but with another wave behind him, should be just fine.
Steezy was thinking about checking that brush. He would have faced a flag and drag combination from Black Camel, not what you want. So they're giving some room for the rest of Choncc Chortle members to take a reset, and this red buff too from Molly. Back onto the Rift. There's a quirky package that they have at their disposal.
Oh, did he steal it?
Quite early. Oh,
he got it! He stole it! Black Camel just stole that with just a single... That wasn't even the flag drag. That was just the drag. It was just the spear. Nicely done there from Black Camel, keeping that vision around the dragon, because that's spawning here in just over 10 seconds. And yeah, with vision on that, you can always spot when Grilled Cheese are going to go for it. Makes this pick composition much harder for Grilled Cheese to actually execute on.
Yeah, speaking of the Drake, though, the quirky package was picked up really early. It's going to time out any second now, so they won't have that at their disposal unless they use it, like, right now. We'll see if they decide to. There's a teleport.
They just get the dragon.
Yeah, they don't even need to do it. Oh, right.
They use it to rotate mid. There we go.
Guys.
It's the threat. It's the we didn't even need it. Good thing you didn't contest us at the dragon, because this would have happened to you. But because the objective's picked up now, right to the mid lane, Choncc Chortle can now look for a push, but there's that arrow charm lands here, but look at the damage. Black Camel says, I'm the front line, get through me first. Now the follow-up, the rest of the team, they just do too much. There's not enough DPS on Grilled Cheese. Choncc Chortle have done it. A decisive team fight win and a triple kill to Molly. That is what this team composition was built to do.
They are really making that charm per minute stat go down every single time that this fight continues for Choncc Chortle. Yes, the charms are landing, but it's not translating into any of those kills. And I feel like that is the one that they really want when they land that ability. Yeah, Choncc Chortle just taking game number 1 with a solid 5v5 composition.
GG, moving up 1-0 in this best of 3. Choncc Chortle They took a couple of early game fights, didn't necessarily go in their favor, but their scaling came online, and then those mid to late game team fights were not close. That last one in particular, massive from Choncc Chortle to come in here. Yeah, you see the gold graph very even, slightly favoring grilled cheese in the early game, but that's Senanasis, man. They scale to infinity.
Yeah. I think the Choncc Chortle just displayed something really interesting. Their morale and their understanding of what the team that they've put together does in a game and waiting for their moment to do it. We mentioned it while we were waiting for that game to come back online. The scaling is on their side. If they can just keep that in mind, they can keep their ideas and their dreams alive in this game, then they will eventually get there. And that's exactly what ended up happening. This is very untraditional from what we expect from Choncc Chortle. Usually it's very flashy team fights with the Katarina engages and other assassins and follow up on that. It's very scattered. This much more protocol for Choncc Chortle. I think this is a really cool strategy to pull out at the last possible second. They are on their last leg here in the Summoner series.
Well-rounded composition overall. They had early game, mid game, late game, everything locked down. When you look at the damage, it was also Molly outputting the most by far on his team. There was actually more damage overall dealt from the side of Grilled Cheese because they were trying to deal damage into a Renekton Nasus, Senna healing everybody back up. So, I mean, it's funny to look at the difference between those numbers that the Ashe actually did the most in the game, but it was Molly on the Corki dealing the damage when Choncc Chortle needed him too. And also playing it on a champion we don't necessarily expect, because going into it, we were highlighting him as an assassin player, not necessarily a Corki player.
I think if you took nameplates off, it'd be really hard to tell what team that actually was on blue side. Other than maybe the Senanasis, but a lot of other teams have played this. I feel like I would have probably guessed that it was like Sentinels or something that was playing this. I think Choncc Chortle would be the last team that I would have guessed. But all the same, they made it work. And I think just having multiple ways of playing the game is so important when you are progressing through a tournament like this. You have to have a lot of different strategies, because if your entire composition and your entire team gets shut down by simply just banning Katarina, then you're not going to go very far. But Choncc Chortle is showing that they have more than just the cat.
And more than just the cat, they also have the heart to stay in a game, because going back to this early game, I was criticizing Black Camel here for going for this roam. Yes, you have the backup of your dragon lane, but you didn't get the information from your mid laner that, you know, the mid and jungle were coming down, but that was really the only big play from Grilled Cheese that I was like, okay, this is putting them in a massive lead. Now they're going to win out this game. This was another nice team fight to start, but like, Luan pretty much equalizes this.
And you mentioned before that Nimble dealt the most damage in the game on this Ashe. He wasn't even in this fight that we're watching right now. They had the really solid engage. Like I was saying before, the Riven and the Lulu together are really cool to see, that combination of the knockups landing onto multiple people. If you don't have that follow-up from the Ashe damage, then it's not really going to do a lot of work. Because, again, like I was saying, on the Ashe build, he's going for DPS. He's trying to get all these auto attacks down and be the damage dealer in the late game for his team, but he just doesn't have that same follow-up that we expect from a AD carry to be able to do with that.
Nice performance coming in overall from Choncc Chortle. They can be confident going into game number 2 here, reversing that early first blood, stabilizing the game state, getting to the late game where their composition can really come online. I think overall positive marks. And again, a reminder, this is the other team that qualified through the last chance qualifiers. I mean, what's up with that, Smacks? Is it where the last chance qualifiers just stacked with like the true best teams? Is Tribe like, oh, we should just waited for that last tournament? That's where we would have a real competition.
Yeah, that's where they would have gotten all of their real training down, maybe if they had played on that team. Maybe they just put like the disguise glasses and mustaches on and like, we're totally not Tribe. We're gonna try out some new things. Last chance qualifier teams putting in a lot of work. The really cool thing about both of these two teams is that they were formed very, very recently. Of course, I'm talking about Do as well here. That was their first tournament that they played, Do. They're moving on past Sentinels. Choncc Chortle, the first thing they played in was the qualification for Major 3. So they've only been around for about a month. These guys, we've seen a few of these names before, like Molly, who was a sub on Cloud9, but bringing all of these new names into the space for the Wild Rift Summoner series and for the overall scene in North America is so cool. Just seeing that there is a very deep talent pool, and while it's a very new esport, people are going to be cropping up left, right, and center. So this is a really good example of that.
And also, shout out to Molly in particular. If you didn't know, we actually had a player highlight for Molly going into the last chance qualifiers that had happened. Played in all 3 majors, or qualifiers for all 3 majors, on 3 different teams, 3 different rosters. Molly has been moving around a lot, but now on Choncc Chortle, might have just found the right roster that can work for this player to get him further along in the regional championships, because this is what matters. Qualifying to get here, part of the process, part of the journey as you're ramping up your skill and your experience against these other teams. But this is when you need to show up and perform. And yeah, I mean, already off to a good start. I'm hearing that for game 2, we will have grilled cheese now on the blue side. Choncc Chortle will be on the red side. So Smacks, when we look at this new side selection, what do we think this does to the teams, to the draft, to the game 2?
We got to go back and look at what the first pick was. For Choncc Chortle, that was Senna. They did make this champion work quite well. You saw in those engages from the Lulu and the Riven, they didn't quite land onto Norris. So he was able to sit back and fire that Dawning Shadow, shielding his entire team and dealing a nice chunk to everyone in the opposition. So for Choncc Chortle, if they can get their hands on that on red side, then I feel like Grilled Cheese are doing something wrong. You probably got to ban that one away, or at least first pick it now that you are on that blue team. This one comes back to what we were saying in the first series, actually. If you have some flashy champions on your team and you have a lot of damage dealers, they don't really do a whole lot unless you have that foundation. You have those players setting you up. So for Choncc Chortle, they have the solid setup now that they've shown to us. Grilled Cheese, you got to attack that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've talked about Choncc Chortle and where their strengths lie or laid in that first game. I mean, I think an easy solution is just one Senna ban. You don't need to ban the Nasus, because if you take away the Senna, that pretty much neutralizes that pick anyway. So you can just throw a Senna ban in there if you want to adapt based on what happened in that game number 1. But let's look at it from the side of Grilled Cheese, because they're now on, 1 game loss and they're out of this tournament. They're going to be knocked out completely. Similar with Sentinels, not winning a single game. So how do they guarantee that they at least get 1 win? If you're back there in the coach's booth, as I'm hearing that we're getting ready for pick and ban, what's your advice for them going into this pick and ban phase?
Well, you got to have at least that knockout first pick. I think the biggest one that comes to mind for me is maybe the Ashe again, but the Nami as well. Nami went completely uncontested. I feel like this champion is super strong, and I know that these players play it. I know that Hestia and Stove both have a Nami. Hestia may be the one that we expect more to play it, but Stove can deny that one away and have a lot of confidence in it. It just does so much for your team. So for Grilled Cheese, that's something that they can look for. Lulu's not bad, but it just isn't quite the same thing as the Nami. So I feel pretty confident in that champion.
All right, cool. So let's see if they can get some focus on the support pick, because if they ban away the Senna and then also get the Nami, that's essentially doing the same thing, but double over to the side of Choncc Chortle's Dragon Lane. Also, rip to Hestia's KDA, by the way. 11.6 going in. I just did the math. 1, 2, and 10 on the Nasus. So technically, that's like a 5.5 KDA. That'll drop down the average a little bit. Bummer. It might be below 10 now. But hey, there's another game. So if Hestia can pop off here, I think she can bring that back up to above a 10 KDA. I think that's always the goal. Not that speaks too much information for a player, but it's just a cool little stat to have. But we are getting ready for pick and ban for this game number 2 here. A reminder again, winner goes against Cloud9.
Yeah.
Also, we're able to 2-0 Sentinels in their first round. So very opponents, regardless of who's able to win here. But Smacks, let's hop into pick and ban for game number 2, because I'm hearing that we're ready to pull that up here. Our questions will be answered, and we'll know what the team's strategies are going into this one. Grilled Cheese back on the blue side, Choncc Chortle on the red.
Yeah, it's good to remind ourselves that while we are getting another look at Grilled Cheese and Choncc Chortle, so are Cloud9, as they did advance to 1 round further than these guys. After that first game, I feel like they've already got a lot to write down in their notebooks. Like, okay, Choncc Chortle plays late game now. Who would have thought? This is really interesting.
And Senna.
Yeah.
Don't let them get Nasus Senna. There's a lot of notes to take from that one as well. But I mean, it wasn't just the Nasus Senna. I feel like we've played that one up a lot too. But Luan had an incredible Renekton performance in that early game to get them to that stage. So Luan DJ is also making a reputation for himself as being a pretty impressive and intimidating top lane carry here. That means Grilled Cheese need to be careful about that as well. But the Katarina ban's still on the table for Grilled Cheese. They're still worried about Molly piloting that one.
I'd be worried too. That guy's really, really good at that champion. I've seen so many multi-kills from him. Lots of pentakills too. And just the fact that there are multiple pentakills on this one champion for him shows he probably want to ban that one. Similarly, Lee Sin's off the board. Same first bans are here for both teams. And yeah, I mean, the same thing that I just said about Molly applies to CSJ on Lee Sin. He's not getting the pentakills, but it is still really menacing in the early game. It provides Grilled Cheese with a lot of agency for that stage.
It's funny when you realize that the Katarina isn't on Molly's most played champ pool because it's
most banned. Yeah,
he doesn't get the chance to play the Katarina, so that's why we see things like Diana, Twisted Fate, Akali rising in popularity.
Yep.
And I still expect a focus to be on Assassins. I know that Molly piloted that Corki in game number 1, but you always need to be aware that the Assassins can come out. But Grilled Cheese, after the Katarina ban, they go for the Camille ban next. Again, interesting. Typically, we see Camille as a blue oneable pick, so Grilled Cheese showing that is not on their priority list.
I want to remove that away from Choncc Chortle. Black Camel's had some really solid games on that one, so I respect that a lot. And it's going to be a Varus ban for Red Side again, but that means that Choncc Chortle are the ones banning it instead of Grilled Cheese, which means Grilled Cheese have opened up another slot for themselves. Maybe they then choose to remove one of the ones that Choncc banned, which would be the Rakan or the Olaf. It is the Rakan, so we could just fully trade bans if Choncc Chortle want to continue the Olaf ban. It'd be the exact same list.
True, that would be kind of funny. But no adaptation from Grilled Cheese coming in here after that first game, which makes me think, it's true. Makes me think that potentially they are not as intimidated by the picks themselves, more their decision-making in the early game and what happened with those picks to let them get to that late stage. But actually sent a ban by Choncc Chortle here, taking it away from Grilled Cheese.
Cool adaptation for Choncc Chortle, not wanting to give that champion up. They acknowledge just how broken it is. I mean, they first picked it in the last game, and they're going to ban it on Red Side because they don't have that opportunity this time. So maybe a one-sided appreciation of this champion. Ziggs is here, though. Is this the first Ziggs that we've seen on the stream for this entire series? I know that's been played off-stream.
We got this. I know I cast a Ziggs game yesterday, so we did get at least one.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but important to note, most likely going into Nimble's hands. This is not on Steezy's radar. I mean, still, who knows? Steezy plays a lot of champions, so this could be flexed into the mid lane. But this is Nimble's second most played champion. So my mind immediately goes into that Dragon lane. And I was wondering if Nami would be contested by Grilled Cheese as blue one pick, but it's up. Choncc Chortle grab it.
Yeah, Choncc Chortle, they removed Senna, so what's Hestia's next best option? It is that Nami. You want to take that one away. And Luan back on Renekton, too. This is looking like an already super solid build for Choncc Chortle. Grilled Cheese are going for definitely a different route, as we did see their pick-oriented composition didn't net them the win last time. They're clearly not going for that again. They're clearly going for more team fights this time.
This is a Wukong ult setup, lock everybody down, Ziggs bomb follow-up. Darius has now time to get into that fight as well, throw out all that damage. And
Annie!
We get it! We get the Annie. Well, I was more excited about the Braum, but the Annie's pretty exciting as well. I think both of them exciting picks. Again, no bias. No bias on my end. But we do get Braum and Annie. So back to comfort picks for Grilled Cheese.
Yeah, this is what I was more expecting for Grilled Cheese to do. I mean, you called out the Braum in our last draft, but Annie coming through, giving Steezy that opportunity to make gigantic plays happen really unlocks Grilled Cheese as an entire composition to go for more. Because Tekshi, usually his champion pool is best suited for being like a juggernaut, just staying alive and just running around. I mean, he is the Singed player after all. So the Darius sort of fits into that same play style, and against Luan, he has a lot more agency this time around, as previously he was having to ram his face into that brick wall that with the Garen, not the easiest way to go. So now that he's on the Darius, he has more options.
Darius versus Renekton, classic Baron lane matchup here, two bruisers. But I just complete 180 in the draft priority from Grilled Cheese as a composition overall. This is the identity that we were hyping up. The burst, the engage, the team fight here. A lot of tools and a lot of chain CC that they can throw out in these fights between Wukong, Annie, Braum, and then, of course, like we said, that Ziggs damage on top. I like it. I like the adaptation from Grilled Cheese. It is something different, and you got to pull out something different. When you're backs against the walls, you need to win 2 games in a row to keep your tournament alive.
Yeah, I like this quite a bit. Steezy back on the Annie. You have the scaling, which is really important to me for Nimble on Ziggs. You aren't easily going to lose a late game fight or a late game siege when you have this champion on your team. He just has so much wave clear and AoE burst that it's going to be really solid for Grilled Cheese once that stage of the game hits. All the while, Choncc Chortle have taken a lot of the pick tools on their side this time. They have the gold card teleportation from Twisted Fate. They have the map-wide stun from Nori 2 on the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. This is really a flip-flop on the styles of gameplay.
Yeah. Kind of cool. Again, in the North American Regional Championships, to have teams playing out multiple styles and flexing their abilities, what they're able to do. But now the question is, who looks better on which? Because there was clearly, Choncc Chortle seemed very comfortable on their draft last time around, and now playing something different. Are they still going to look as comfortable? Kind of the litmus test here, but Jungler's hanging out in this mid lane, going for trades. Black Camel taking a lot of damage, flashes away. Steezy has the Ignite burning down, and that's first blood picked up by Grilled Cheese.
Oh, he still has quite a bit of damage, but he's been stunned up by the Incinerate. Can he get out against CSJ? Looks like he can, but he can't respond at all. The health bars are super low. You maybe got to bring your Renekton down to even the tides, but no, Grilled Cheese have a great escape. And with that first blood, they're repeating that same history of the early game start.
Nicely done from Grilled Cheese. 2 games in a row now getting that, but unfortunate pathing here. Could punish them. Ooh, Stove with the Braum Shield. That's what I like about this champ. Just the denier of engages. Denier a poke as well. So stops the side of Choncc Chortle from looking for anything more. But let's get a look at the replay here because this was very close.
Yeah, so the most important thing I think here is that Black Camel is on the run, so he's not actually dealing any damage throughout this entire fight. He was going to go down regardless, but with CSJ and Steezy dealing damage the entire time, they win out on the trade by just the slim auto attack, health bar moments there. That's what makes the difference in those exchanges. Like, Grilled Cheese had enough damage to get the first blood every single time, but Choncc Chortle couldn't respond because they were on the run.
CSJ looking for a gank into this Baron lane now, but Juan is wise for it and backs away. Also, Steezy, level 5 now in the Annie. That burst damage, the engage, that's a tool now that they can use, especially with Flash available. All he needs to be very careful in this current lane state here. Steezy's holding that stun. CSJ is nearby. Spotted on the ward. Like Camel on these Raptors. Gets engaged on. The Wukong's going for it. Steezy with the flash. Tibbers finds the pick. Finds the kill. Ollie can maybe turn this around with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. That's a lot of damage onto CSJ. Luan pops the Dominus. CSJ's in trouble here. Stuck in the Raptor pit. Looks to get out, but goes down. Luan gets one. They're looking for another Destiny forward by Molly.
Oh, the heal!
Damage over the wall, but Nimble's here to keep Steezy alive. Rob's here. The turnaround plays. Glacial Fissure onto Hestia. She needs to flash away as the Nami engaged now with the J4. The turn play is still there for Choncc Chortle. They find a kill in response.
Okay, Grilled Cheese making the team fight plays already off the bat. As soon as they hit level 5 on all their members, they hit the pedal to the metal. They are going face first into these exchanges. And we're getting these just for nothing right now, Kangas. It's just because these enemy champions are near them. There's no objective to be taken quite yet until we get out of this replay, as we get yet another look at this one. I like that Luan knows that CSJ is going to die eventually, so we can start hitting the Annie.
Second time as well that Luan's roamed down. The first time didn't actually make it in time to get a kill or to turn the play, but this time does. And then it's Grilled Cheese getting a little over eager here. They think that they can keep chasing down, but too many flashes on the side of Choncc Chortle. Means that at the end of the play, pretty even game state overall, 3-2 on the scoreboard, and the objectives are being traded. I believe this is the first time all weekend I've casted a trade of objectives. Nobody actually contested each other. But even as I say that, Steezy, it's by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Damage over the wall. Molly's going for it. The double bubble on a Stove. And Steezy. That's 2 kills picked up by Choncc Chortle.
Man. It's a gold card. It's a third one, Kangas. They can't do anything wrong in this fight. It's a Rift Herald popped. This is going to be a mid lane turret taken at 5 minutes. First one in the game. You're seeing why I like this Nami champion now, right? You're seeing just how broken this champion can be. If you're landing all your crowd control, Tidal Wave not even needed there. The bubble was enough. Great plays from Hestia. This is what we've come to expect from this player.
I mean, you're saying that now I understand why you like the Nami. Now I understand why you like Choncc Chortle.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it, Max. Although, as I say that, Luan DJ could be in trouble here. Gets collapsed by multiple members of Grilled Cheese and picked off in that Baron lane. Interesting positioning there in that tri-bush very far forward.
Yeah, I mean, the well-timed apprehend is what seals the deal there. Luan feeling confident because he has the slice and dice, but slices and then doesn't have a dice after that. So has to just perish right there, even with the ultimate giving him a lot of sustain. Okay, Steezy, feeling okay with the tippers. Doesn't have enough burst yet, though. Only has the one item.
But now doesn't have the passive stacked up, so Mally can just Destiny in with no counterplay, no stuns, another double bubble coming in here. The team fight is too clean from Choncc Chortle, but now with low health bars, they need to back off. Grilled Cheese still have 3 members here, very healthy. Impressive play from Hestia. That's the second double bubble in about a minute time.
I told you, man. Hestia on Nami is just not something you want to play against ever. It's not as flashy as other champions that Choncc Chortle are playing. Again, it's not going to get you a pentakill. It's not going to, you're not going to see it on your screen, Nami pentakill, we're going to pop off. That's not going to happen. But it is going to crowd control all 5 members. And that, to me, is more important. Because if you're playing the assassin and you don't have any crowd control on Katarina, you need somebody to stun them.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of stuns.
Yeah, I think we might have just cast a Cursor. Never mind, Hestia actually flashes away as exhaust. Heal from Nori barely survives, but Hestia keeping that KDA alive. 0-0-6 right now. I think that Hestia is starting to realize, hey, I could bring it back up to above a 10 here, but Siege from Grilled Cheese. They throw out the Ziggs ultimate, engage from Black Camel. The arrow lands here onto the Darius. Stove no longer has that Braum shield. Dekshi pots the stove plate, tries to get away now.
Nori?
The re-engage here. Look at CSJ diving onto the backline, catches the Ash, will trade his life for it. A killing spree now for Black Camel, but it's not over. It's a double kill. They're looking for more. Triple kill for Black Camel on the J4 and going unstoppable to boot. Choncc Chortle just can do no wrong.
I'm going to say it again, Kangas. You can't stop me. I'm doing it again. That was a 5-man tidal wave from Hestia. This is exactly what I was talking about. This player is just so unstoppable. And then the rest of Choncc Chortle gets to fall in line, man. Look at all of this damage that they're able to pump out. Good to mention, too, Nori is going for that Manamune build, so lots of utility from this player, lots of volleys, lots of Enchanted Crystaleros. This is going to be a witness of another one as well onto Tekshi as we're about to watch this replay.
On the live screen, you can see the turrets taken, but in the replay, the teamfight decision from the team saving cooldowns till after the Braum shield is down, now re-engaging. Nori walks a little far forward as there's a monkey walking right at you, but I mean, it works out at the end of the day.
Yeah. The stealth monkey is really what catches him off guard right there. Can't get out of that one. Didn't expect the re-engage. But even though he didn't expect it, it ended up being completely okay for Choncc Chortle. They get 4 kills in the end because of this.
In the live, though, it looks like Steezy actually got a pick there onto Luan as the rest of the team now goes to the fight here. But again, it's win by Choncc Chortle. They have the front line. They have this time keeping everybody alive, as well as Nori outputting the damage. Molly picks one up, too. Nori's still alive. Barely survives through that one. Destiny used by Molly. It's a gold card onto Steezy, but I think that's the end of the play here from Choncc Chortle. Never mind. They throw out the arrow. The bubble follow-up. Nimble in trouble, as Hestia's actually going to try to do the damage to that Ziggs. Gets him. That's a kill. And that's multiple kills over to Choncc Chortle. Whoa. This is their dragon.
That's a full ace for Choncc Chortle. They're up over 10,000 before 10 minutes, Kangas. Now Luan trying to keep the monkey out of the pit. Drake's already gone, but still half HP on Wukong. CS Chaser's gonna recall. He just came back on the map, man. This bullying is ridiculous. Red buff gone. Choncc Chortle have everything that they could possibly want on the Rift.
All right, everybody watching at home right now, if you're thinking, hey, I want to do some competitive Wild Rift, I think we learned the answer. Don't play through the first 3 majors. Don't scrim against the top teams. Just go to the last chance qualifiers, because these teams are cracked, man. They're showing up big here in the regional championships. Barrett's on the table. And yes, Grilled Cheese, they're here early. They can get some wards down. We already said it. It was a 10k gold lead. No, a 12k gold lead. Arrow onto Steezy. No bubble follow-up from Hestia as Nori didn't walk forward. But still, like, even without that arrow, it'll be up probably in time for this fight anyway. That's a nice pick from Steezy. Nori goes down. Grilled Cheese now have a 5v4 for the time being on the map.
Yeah, Nori not going to survive throughout that one. The arrow doesn't deal as much crowd control as you'd expect when it's that close range. You need to be cross-map to really benefit the most from that. So Steezy gets to just walk out, doesn't get bubbled. Molly trying to get in range, a flash forward on the Nimble. Excellent use of the package there.
But one flashes forward still. This Renekton's literally on top of everybody. The J4's piling on too. And that's just going to be the team fight one already for Choncc Chortle. Massive damage, massive team fight potential. Steezy. Good luck recovering from that one. As now the rest of Choncc Chortle will turn towards the Baron. This is the most one-sided game of the day so far. I'm just going to call it here. Choncc Chortle are making quick work of Grilled Cheese. Yeah. All right, actually, get a turret, but immediately picked off afterwards. And that's godlike for Black Camel. 7, 2, and 12. Very impressive performances on all members of Choncc Chortle.
This could still be risky all the same. Choncc Chortle, they didn't actually kill everyone at the same time, so they got to go for it again, Kangas. They got to find more picks.
Arrow.
They got to throw more arrows.
Oh, but CSJ's
the re-engage from CSJ and Stove, lots of crowd control through. Can they actually kill anyone is the question. But what has stayed alive the entire time? Oh no, it's just so sad. The long-range crowd control makes it another set of kills for Choncc Chortle. They don't even lose a single member.
You know what? You said it the last 2 times. 4 champ title wave from Hestia. That was nuts. As now Texi will try to defend under the turret. There's nothing he can do. The poor Darius is just getting bullied right now. As Choncc Chortle triumphantly will walk this cannon minion forward, hitting the Nexus. Stove valiantly attempting to keep them alive. And the rest of the team spawning. It works. Grilled Cheese are still in this game for now, but Choncc Chortle, they've maybe dealt the killing blow already. Super's pushing mid. Still a 14,000 gold lead. They can reset and spend that gold and go right back to these objectives.
That was shockingly close to being a 12-minute victory for Choncc Chortle in this series, man. That is just ridiculous on its own. But then you go into the nitty-gritty. Then you get to see exactly how they've been playing all throughout this game. All their crowd control is finding their target every single time. I'm so continuously impressed by the way that they are finding all these picks. And again, no assassin play from Molly. They're showing a ton of difference in their strategies. Yes, Hestia's playing that Nami again. But the fact that Molly is able to do this again on champions that are Twisted Fate.
Oh, walks very far forward this time around, and now the engage from CSJ. Black Camel's onto the back line, but they already got the pick. Nori's down. 5v4 in favor of Grilled Cheese. Black Camel doesn't have the backup yet, but isn't taking any damage. And now here comes the Croc. Luan DJ diving onto everybody from Grilled Cheese, saying, all right, good luck, Texi. I think I survived longer than you, brother. And that is a true fact. Nice pickup there from Choncc Chortle. Destiny 4. Nimble's down. That will be game. It's only CSJ left alive. 20 seconds on Stove and Steezy. And the rest of Choncc Chortle will walk forward. This time, focusing on the Nexus. In a quick 2-0, they will continue on in the lower bracket and face Cloud9.
Nicely done for Choncc Chortle today. And you know what, Kangas? Hestia heard you about that KDA thing. 2-0-25 on Nami. I think that's going to bump the numbers back up to where we expected them to be from the beginning. Then that is ridiculous.
Most likely. So the first game, if we had to do the math, 1, 2, and 10. 1, 2, and 10 on the Nasus. That's still respectable. 5.5 KDA. You know, if that was your average, I'd still say, hey, whether you're a KDA player or not, that's great. And then we add this. So total 3, 2, 36. 36. That's almost a 20 KDA between these two games.
That's like pretty good.
point something right there. Oh my goodness.
That's pretty good. I'll go out and say it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's not too bad for Hestia on the Nami. That was a phenomenal game. And, I mean, we heard it just before we got into the series. Charmer's a big Hestia fan, too. Charmer, what do you think?
I mean, now you're seeing why I'm such a big fan of hers. She is phenomenal from that support position. She knows how to help out during team fights, set them up. Wonderful on Nami, but even with the Nasus was just kind of doing a very silently supportive role. One of the things with Nasus that you can do is use it to just beat on towers as the game progresses, and it turns out that's a great benefit to your team. So overall, not surprised by this performance at all, especially from Hestia. I will admit, though, I'm a bit surprised that both of our LCQ, our last chance qualifier teams, are moving on. They are still in it. And so this is great for them. If you're a young Wild Rift player, maybe this is kind of the calling to you to say, hey, you can compete potentially as well. Join those open tournaments. You could end up moving on in the regional championship. But we can see some of the highlights from this particular series on the screen. And unfortunately, we're sending another team home. We're at that point where it's do or die, unfortunately.
I still just want to give props again to Molly. Third team playing on. Actually, third team playing on here. Played on multiple different rosters throughout the previous qualifiers for other majors. Took a while for Molly to find a team that worked for him. And like Smacks was saying, not just playing Assassins, playing the Corki, playing the TF here. So opening the champ pool up, finding success with this roster. Sometimes it's tough as a player to swap rosters that many times in one season, but yeah, props to Molly for keeping with it.
Swapping players, swapping champions, swapping team names, and still taking the dubs all the same. What an impressive player, and what an impressive team victory here for Choncc Chortle as they make their way forward. We're going to be seeing them play against Cloud9 later, which I mentioned just briefly yesterday, I believe. Molly's previous team. You previously subbed in for Cloud9, so we're going to have a fun sort of grudge match for Molly, just showing them that I might have picked the wrong mid laner. If they can take that win. Of course, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's going to be a really competitive match.
Yeah, you are getting a little bit ahead of yourself because
just a tad.
Our next match is actually going to be that other side of the lower bracket, which is, of course, NME. We'll be taking on Do. And this will be, I think, a real litmus test for both teams. Do lost to Tribe, and everybody's lost to Tribe. So like I said before, I don't think that's necessarily the best measuring stick. But NME was kind of considered to be the other favorite going into this. So if they can take this to the wire, if they can get some competition in here, this will be a strong showing for them. On the other side, Enemy struggled quite a bit yesterday. Even in the round they won, that went to a full game 3 in the series. And so the story here is, did they kind of find their footing? Did they rejuvenate since yesterday? Kangas, it looked like you wanted to get 1 point in there, so I'm gonna...
I was just saying Enemy, the second place team. I mean, they were coming in as second seed, so
it's gonna be hard.
It's a tough opponent, but they're fallible.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that in mind, we're going to be taking a short break. And when we come back, we'll see if Enemy can right the ship or if Do will continue their Cinderella story. Don't go anywhere. More Wild Rift when we return.